Kenyans have been waiting for an announcement from opposition leader Raila Odinga. Initially, Odinga had planned to address the public on Tuesday, but he delayed the briefing, citing the complexity and importance of the issue at stake. The opposition leader claims to have evidence of irregularities during last week's elections. Odinga lost to incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta. The opposition is now taking the matter to court.
IEBC might have declared Uhuru Kenyatta president, but a vast number of Kenyans have not accepted the legitimacy of the decision and will not accept it. We had said that we will not go to court, but with the raid on civil society and determination to silence all voices that could seek legal redress, like the AFRICOG and the Kenya Human Rights Commission, we have now decided to move to the Supreme Court and lay before the world the making of a computer-generated leadership.
Well, CGTN's Robert Nagila has been closely following the developments out of Kenya and Kenya's elections. He's joining me now in our Nairobi studios. Robert, so the opposition has now decided to take their matter to court. So how long do they have to bring the application to court, and what happens?
Well, Beatrice, Kenya's constitution is very clear on how this process is supposed to unfold. Now, 7 days after the declaration of results by Kenya's Electoral Commission, the loser can then petition, go to court and petition the court over this. Now, in Odinga's case, that was last Friday. So they have tomorrow, which is Thursday, and Friday, 2 days in which to file that petition. Now, they also have to pay $10,000 or 1 million Kenyan shillings as security for this petition. And then immediately after that, they have 2 days in which to serve the respondent, in this case, the president's ruling party, Jubilee. Now, the Constitution also lays out how that can be done, either directly, but how do you serve a president? So they put an extra clause there that you can also advertise. That's another way of serving. So that is Saturday and Sunday. Then from next week, what ideally is supposed to happen, the court is now supposed to lay the grounds of how this case will continue. Right.
Give us a little bit of clarity, though, Robert. Exactly what are the opposition's grievances, given the fact that on Friday, when the president-elect was announced as the winner of that election, they had said they were not going to court. So exactly what are their grievances?
Well, from the get-go, and we saw this during the tallying of this vote, they claimed that the Electoral Commission system had been hacked. They failed to provide evidence, but they still maintained that there was a problem with the algorithms as the results were coming in to the tallying center at Bomas, about 25 kilometers, where we spent about 3 days. And they've maintained that. Now they say that they have collected evidence and are continuing to do so, and they're going to show the world and Kenyans an elaborate scheme to fool everybody through this computer system, how it was hacked, how the algorithms were changed. They say that in some instances across the board, races between either governors, the president, in some instances MPs, there was an 11% margin throughout. Right. And they say that this is just one of the things that they intend to provide evidence on once they go to court.
But this is not the first time that the opposition is going to court. They went to court when they lost again, or Raila Odinga went to court in 2013 when his party lost that election. So what happens now if they fail?
Well, Beatrice, your guess is as good as mine. We still await this evidence that they have to produce before the courts. Then we will get to know. However, one important aspect that a lot of people will be wondering there was, what about the swearing in of the president, the inauguration itself? Now, according to Kenya's constitution, 2 weeks after the declaration of results by the Electoral Commission, the president is supposed to be sworn in if there's no petition. However, if there's a petition, and this is very important, then after the verdict of the courts, that's when the president will be sworn in. In this case, it was supposed to be 29th. However, we're now looking at some point in September after the Supreme Court has made its result known clear. So at this particular moment, we don't know. However, there's no vacuum. The president continues to serve in between during that time. If the court rules against the president and against the current results, then we will go to another election in about 2 months or so. So a very complex process set out very clearly, elaborately by the Constitution because of the events of 2007.
So we did hear as well, Mr. Raila Odinga there mentioning that the Constitution provides for peaceful protests and that they will still be taking their case to the people. Do we know what happens with the opposition party, though, in the event that their application fails in terms of returning to mass protests?
Well, Beatrice, that's a very important point that you raised. I think what Mr. Odinga was trying to do was to leave the door open, just in case, as he said before in that press briefing, it's not the first time they've been to court, and each time it's failed. So he was just leaving the door open that in case this doesn't go through, they still have the option of going out to protest. Now, it's also going to depend very largely on the evidence that they present in court, because a lot of his supporters still believe what he says, that this election was stolen from them. And if they believe in their eyes that there's evidence there, despite the ruling of the court, then this time we may actually get to see a much larger grouping of people out on the streets in support of Mr. Odinga's position.